Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. It's time to experience what's possible. So, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions Publishing, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are a few of my co-author poets of one of our newest books. Y'all don't know how excited I am today. These guys and gals are here today helping me celebrate on launch day. So thanks y'all for signing up for today, because you didn't know this was going to be a different kind of party today, right? Look at this beautiful book, y'all. Shout outs, okay? Davide De Angelis, thank you for the beautiful sunrise cover art on this book. Kelly Kashula, thank you for the interior design on this beautiful book. Look at all those amazing poet names below. All these people who said yes, and I'm going to help you with this poetry book. I want to put my brave words in this book. Well, I've got 3 of them here today with me. Natalie Peterson is a spiritual and mental health mentor for misfits and the founder of Healing Curious Humans, a book series and wellness event designed for everyone with no exceptions. Donna O'Toole, Druid Priestess and energy healer, integrates Reiki, sound crystal, and intuitive practices with poetry, meditation, and guided healing, inspiring transformation and balance in mind, body, and spirit. Marquis 13 of Nazareth Mix is a poet and spoken word recording artist from Virginia whose hip hop influenced work deals with a bouquet of subject matter, including but not limited to spirituality, socioeconomics, and technology. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, yeah, launch day. Yay. I don't know. You guys know I'm passionate about poetry, you know. But like something clicked this week. And with this book, I've had this big, massive energy feeling. And I'm just so, so grateful to all of you for being a part of it. I want to bring you, you poured your heart and souls onto these pages. You kind of pulled out a piece of your heart and you went, here, guys, take a peek at this. It's totally phenomenal. I want to hear a little bit from all of you about how this started for you. 13, I was so honored and grateful to be in your presence this past Saturday at the event. Don't Let It Happen to Poetry. 13's wife and him put this on. Kaniki, thank you. I love you. I've been talking about your haiku poem since I got home. So thanks for that moment, because it was really, really brilliant. Do you remember when you first started calling yourself a poet? Can you tell us a little bit of that origin story?
Yes. So I started freestyling rap when around 20 years old. My favorite rapper had died on my 20th birthday, Tupac Shakur. And several weeks later, my cousin convinced me to try to freestyle. I did everything I could to avoid getting involved, but a moment came when I heard the music and I just like, I couldn't resist. And there was this like gushing of nonsensical words, but I knew that I had to try it again. So I started out as a rapper. There was probably about 2, maybe 3 years before I started writing what I would consider poetry. And I still didn't call myself a poet yet. I don't think I began. So all of this happened before 2000. I don't think I began to actually call myself a poet until maybe sometime between 1999 and like 2001. And it was due to the way in which I started to approach the subject matter. The subjects were, they were in my mind, impossible for me at the time to approach in, 16 bars and a chorus. So I either needed more time or I needed less time to be able to communicate something clearly, and all of those things did not rhyme as it did with hip hop, and so that was when I began calling myself a poet.
Oh, I love hearing the how that piece happens. Like you needed more or less time, room on the page. You needed to
Yeah.
break out of that box that you had to keep yourself in, I suppose, for lyrics or hip hop. Who was that friend? Do you want to shout them out, their first name?
Oh, that it was the friend. Actually, is my cousin.
Okay.
Uh, I yeah, I refer to him as G. He
G.
yeah,
Okay.
I love him to life, but he and a friend of ours at the time, they started freestyling, and he when I came the next time that I came to the house, he was like, "We've been freestyling. You should try it." I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna watch y'all." And then the music started playing. They kept going around and around, and then I just jumped in, and
Nice.
it was like popping a cork on a bottle of champagne, uh, and I was hooked.
Well, I like to shout out the friends, the teachers. There's been the interviews before you guys where similar stories of like a teacher, a mentor, a friend. And so I'll just say thanks, G, because we got 13 writing some pretty phenomenal poetry and performing it as well. So we thank you for being some inspiration there. I love it, 13. Thank you. Natalie, tell us your story about this. Do you remember when you started calling yourself a poet?
I don't have an exact date to tell you. I recently found my first publication being as published, which was a really big deal back in seventh grade. The McDuffie writer. Does anybody remember the
I
McDuffie?
don't.
You actually had to, fill out the back page, the form, and you had to submit a certain amount of money. I think it was like $20 to be considered. And it was a a short story called Deities. And I recently came across it after my mom passed. She had a ton of stuff laid out from my childhood, and I had totally forgotten about it. And what had been on my mind that actually fed what I ended up writing for this book was just this concept of legacy, and really finally giving myself credit for having been a writer for the bulk of my life. The poetry, I think, has always been kind of a natural um, kind of therapy that I've done for myself, and even in my longer form writing, there's a pace and a beat, if you will, to the way that I write that I'm now at this point, like I said, just giving myself credit for having that way about words that flows from me. So I've been a writer and writing little short form poems for the most of my life. Both of my parents were writers as well, so I was encouraged to put thoughts and words and pictures and ideas to paper for as long as I can remember. So.
I think so many people, I'm just hearing a thread. I think have been doing it since, those early years. Doing what? I don't know, writing words on a page and like maybe knowing in our hearts that it was something, but not calling it anything until, whenever. But I love to hear the inspirations for that. And also just, I mean, really for all of you, thanks for claiming it eventually and being brave about that, right? Like we talk about what it means to be brave around here, and I think that's one of the things. It's like, you know what, I'm going to jump into this party and contribute my words Natalie, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Donna, do you remember? Do you remember the moment when you first started calling yourself a poet? Do we have a little, hang on, you're muted. We've got a little earthquake going on over in Donna's room. Can't unmute Donna. What is going on? All right, Donna, I'm going to ask you to go out and come back in again, and we'll get you. We'll get you. All right. So while she's coming back in with us, I'm going to tell you my story. You know, I mean, I wrote poems in little journals since I was 15 years old. I wrote mostly like corny poems about boys at that age. And then my journals went from this little tiny, I wish I had it to show and tell you guys, blue and white polka dotted journal, little one with the little silver lock and key, right? It went from that to huge, big as I could get notebooks so that I could have the room to write and write and write. And started writing things that looked like poetry, started writing a lot of different kinds of things like that. And then I got to go out to Sedona for a course in our physical therapy training. We did myofascial release, and it was a course out in Sedona with John Barnes. And I journaled on the plane. The plane is such a cool place to, do your thing when it's quiet. And that ride, I had nobody next to me, 2 full open seats. So I'm like, woo, space, right? Get my journal out. And I wrote this whole thing. This whole thing came through, and I was like, whoa, it really, in me, it was a moment. Like what just happened was my moment. But then when I arrived at the seminar, I had a voice in my head, and it repeated itself until I raised my hand. That was not just for you. You got to read that out loud. And at that point, I mean, like for the public speaking anxiety, anything like that would like make me sweat, and instantly it was horrible. 2014, it was the year of that seminar, but I did this, barely got called on, and stood up in a ballroom of 220 people where the seats were packed, touching on purpose. Like they wanted you to be uncomfortable, right? And that's a whole nother story about our healing classes that we do. But when I stood up and did the journal entry, and I just was reading from my little book, my response after inside of me was like, whoa, who did that? It was like somebody else stepped up inside of me to verbalize it. People had been raising their hands that day to make comments or share, and they kept having to be asked to speak up because it was a big ass room. And I did not write the projection, the voice, the whoever said those words just didn't feel like me. It felt like something else stepped up and helped me out. So somebody at the break came around and tapped me on the shoulder and said, Laura, thank you so much for sharing that poem with us. That was the day, y'all. Like, it was like my permission, like, oh, okay, yeah. And then, yeah, that permission slip, like hundreds of poems poured out at that point. I couldn't stop it. I've got books full of them. So I love telling that story. It gives me goosebumps. My shout out is to Jude. She's the dedication in this book, by the way, in case you guys were wondering who that was. Thanks for the purple pen. She handed me a purple pen. So, purple's my favorite color. All right, Donna, you're back and you're unmuted, which is fantastic. Do you remember the moment that you started calling yourself a poet?
Yes, I do. It was when I was in the first book of yours that I was in, because I never considered myself a poet, but then I put a poem in there in the story, and someone said to me, "You're a poet." And it was hearing that from someone else that went, oh my God, I am. I was a late bloomer. I didn't start writing poetry until my 60s. And so it was surprise. It came by surprise. I was living in Panama at the time, and I walked out. It was about 6:30 in the morning. The sun was just starting. I looked around and was connected to nature. I was out in the country on 34 acres and had all these beautiful gardens. And I just started noticing everything. And something came to me. And it was like I went into the house, I sat down, and I couldn't stop writing. And so that was the first time I actually could say that I wrote a poem. And it came from that connection and listening to my soul and what was surrounding me. And it's one of my favorite poems to this day that I've written. The other day I was going through things from my mother's, and she had saved, cards when we were kids. And so there was a poem I wrote in the card, and it said, "Mother is so nice to mice," because it was the only thing that
Gotta love the rhyme.
Yeah. So rhyming is not, if I had to work on rhymes, I wouldn't get past that line itself. So I write just from my heart and through that connection.
Yeah, the connection. That's also a thread, I think, with everybody who actually ends up sharing poetry. They know because they can feel it coming from something way bigger than them, some connection that is soul driven. And it's part of what I love the most. So you guys, I think the thing I want our audience to know, the most important thing about poetry really has two words to me: no rules. And while I know there are plenty of rules about different kinds of written poems and how to do it and all the things, that's cool. I love taking classes, learning more. But I think what stops people up a lot is thinking that there's some rule about getting some words on the page and really discovering themselves. So I want to say no rules. This book, when you all pick this up, our poets have told you a bit of a story about themselves. So thank you all, you three, for taking that challenge up. I know it's hard to write that story sometimes. And then they gifted you with, I asked them to put 4 poems in their chapter. And then lastly, they're going to give you a prompt so you can dip a toe in and dabble on the page, right? We left a little blank space after that. We want you to give it a try. So this is a book where we want you to feel it, and we want you to have an experience and just explore. And so a thank you to all 3 of you for taking that challenge and just doing those chapters so brilliantly. I got a lot of feels about this. So yeah, no rules is what kind of the most important thing I want people to know. Natalie, what's the thing you want people to know, other people to know about poetry?
What do I want people to know about poetry? I would say that the world, much like Donna was just referencing, that the world gives us poems in our surroundings, if we are willing to sit and listen. I even think there's poetry in birdsong. There's, when you talk about no rules, you start to realize that the concept of rhyming or, the length of stanzas and all of this are just human made, edges, and that in actuality that the universe has no edges. There are none that and neither does poetry have edges. And so to go ahead and push into to hush and listen to the poetry that's going on around you as an inspiration, I think would be maybe not. It's a starting point, I think we all have poetry within us, and we're packed into these boxes that we either inflict on ourselves or by others, and once we start to lay down those walls and just listen, hush and listen, that we are poets, we are poems ourselves. Our bodies within all of it is intertwined into just a beautiful harmony that's just waiting to be heard. So.
Oh my gosh, yes, 100%. Nature is a huge inspiration for me. The body, because I'm an anatomy geek from my physical therapy days, is a total inspiration. Love, of course. I'm sure like you all are inspired by so many different things, but Natalie is so right. Like it is everywhere and all around you, and you are it. I was joking with Miss Cayenne the other day. I'm like, my favorite thing to write poems about is writing poems. I love writing poetry and about writing and about words and about this thing we're talking about, you know? Okay, Donna, how about you? What's the thing you want people to know about poetry?
That's a really good question. I think it's just going into that place of, like, if you have any kind of pain within your life, connect to that space of what that feels like and just put those thoughts down on paper, because there's healing through writing your own poetry. And I believe, I was an actress for a number of years, and one of the directors explained in it and about words, that every word has its own unique energy. It has its own shape, its own color. And as we speak, we also know that it's how someone speaks to us that changes the concept of a word. And so the beauty about poetry is the words are there on paper, and you get to read it and put your own lens on it through your own experiences. And then it becomes uniquely to you. And I think that's one of the most important things I would like to share about poetry. It's just,
I love it with exclamation point. Yes, 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 and yes. And that is why, like, I think my biggest encouragement is to people is pick up the book and dabble. And it doesn't mean anything except for the meaning you bring. And that's what Donna is saying, like, yes to that. I love that. And of course, you know, you could get me started on the healing of writing we could talk about that for 3 hours. So that's what poetry writing is for me. I sit to write all the time, not necessarily because I think I have a poem coming. I just go for it to see what is happening. And then many times it like turns into something that has a rhythm or a rhyme or interestingly enough, equal sized sentences. And I'm always curious about people. Yeah, thanks for the head nods. Like, does that happen to you guys too? Like, what is that? You know, who is writing that? Okay, 13. What do you want people to know? You guys have me so excited. I'm like, oh my God, my nose. I'm just melting, you guys. Thank you. What do you want? What do you want us to know, 13?
So with regard to poetry, you know, I think this is often stated that, you know, the poetry is therapeutic, right? To be able to take what it is that you're feeling or that you're considering or that you're confused about and put it into words. One of the beauties of poetry is, to me, is that you can start with it anywhere, right? You don't have to, unlike with say a novel or an essay, like you don't have to start at the beginning with a poem. Like you can like start in the middle of the idea, and then you don't have to finish with the end. Like there doesn't have to be a conclusion. It can remain open-ended. And I think because of that, it allows room for anyone of any background, of any education level, any crossing boundaries of subjects, to give it a try. Even if being a poet isn't something that you want to do, creating poetry is something that you can do just for yourself. An excellent tool for self-examination and examination of the world.
For sure. I think, I think a lot about that in this trajectory. You guys are all here published, and in a way today, you're taking the microphone. that is this end of the spectrum of whatever you want to call it, brave, having the courage to actually share it, possibly changing a life because you did. That's big potato stuff to me. But all the way over here is, why don't you just journal for yourself? I write to feng shui my soul first. Like, I write for my own healing first. And I have to detach from whether or not anybody else is ever going to read it, or else I'll never do anything. Right. And that's so important. And that's why I want this book. I want you guys to dabble with the book and try some stuff, read, feel. I mean, our job as writers is to help you feel something. Just wait until you feast your eyes on these poems. You will feel something, right? So just, I don't know, I can't say thank you enough to you guys today. Thanks for doing that. You did that, and it's pretty freaking amazing. So when you all put the vibration of your voice to the words, this is other level. This is another level gift. And now you guys, our poets, are going to read a poem for you. And I want you to take that deep breath, receive those vibrations. When I did that for the first time, I realized that whole other level of the spoken word and that vibrational gift, and that all the things, all the love in those words, right? And the pain, all of it. I had a healer once say to me, your heart can hold all the sorrow and all the joy. And I loved that line. I should write a poem about that line. I think I have, actually. So, Donna, you're going to be first up, and I'm going to get you up here. So, Donna, we are ready for you. First up at the microphone today.
Thank you, Laura. It's a privilege being in any of your books because they are also powerful. My chapter is chapter 14. It's titled A Journey of Love, an Opening After a Twist in Destiny. And I chose to read to you a poem. It's called The Illusion of Us. What is love? Is it the emotion or feeling shared between us? Or is it, I love the me I become, loving you? Last September, you said those 3 magical words to me. I love you. They entered my heart and coursed through my veins, reaching every cell in my body, mind, and heart. Those words imprinted their image on the journey of how I perceived you and how I perceived us. Is our love real? Or did I create an enchanting illusion? I shared my whole heart to you willingly, without thinking what I would gain in return. Through our time together, I built a love story around every image I saw in the mirror until those reflections became the story I wanted to see and believe. Did I not see the red flags because I put on my rose-tinted glasses? Did I become so blind I could not see the crack in our mirror? The red flags were there all along, but was I holding a version of you that I only wanted to see? Did this version really exist on this earth plane? So I ask, what is the truth? Is it the image or shadow that stares back at me? Or is it, I love the me I am still learning to see? This September, I heard 3 silent words from you, from within. I forgive you. And then surprisingly, and more importantly, I heard 3 more silent words from within. I forgive me. These 6 words pulsed through my beating heart, not to heal us, but to free the parts of me that still wanted you, that still waited for you. Cherished memories etched their shape and sound in my mind, not as a story we lived, but as a story I had painted. So I ask, is this healing real? Or am I creating a softer and kinder illusion? I hold my whole self to the light cautiously, knowing now the cost of giving without guard, of being in a relationship without setting healthy boundaries. Reflecting during my time alone, I have dismantled our story until the mirror reflects back what it wants me to see. And its truth is no longer what I want to believe. It is simply what is. But I took off my rose-tinted glasses and I see you as you really are, knowing there never was an us. As us was just an illusion of me, loving the me I became, loving you. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this poem.
Oh, Donna. All right. Give me a second. I'm going to bring us all back up for a little snap and clap. One moment, please. Yeah, you guys. All right. whatever you want to do. You want to wave at Donna. You got me right away with a question that I wrote down. It's like, who am I when I love you? And then you said that last line of the poem too. It's like, oh, she got me again. And I just loved poems often help us immediately self-reflect, and hearing it is just a gift, Donna. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Mr. 13, and I'm going to get him ready. Okay, 13, we are ready for you.
I am a trip to the hospital waiting to happen. I am the shattering of my loved one's nerves. I am consciousness with temporary amnesia. I am flying down a flight of stairs face first. I am conversation without recall. I am biting my tongue until it bleeds. I am the lost control of motor skills. I am piss in a new pair of jeans. I am chaos without warning. I am the alteration of previous plans. I am laying helpless in a crosswalk. I am the reason for unusual traffic jam. I am dependent upon the kindness of strangers. I am falling at your feet all the time. I am a soft heart trapped in a hard place. I am vulnerability personified. I am always struggling to figure out why. I am here in the last place I ever dreamed. I am staring death in the absence of a face. I am a crumbling bridge over a troubled stream. I am crashing into the fire hydrant at the corner. I am limp body against airbag and car door. I am crashing into the walls of crowded venues. I am a limp body against hotel lobby floor. I am an oxygen mask and intravenous fluids. I am fractured bones and sutured flesh. I am sharp pains and missing time. I am involuntary movements and dripping sweat. I am an earthquake with self-awareness. I am a tornado with arms and legs. I am 20 plus years with epilepsy. I am shaking, but I am not scared.
Oh, I got so excited, I forgot to unmute myself. That was beautiful, 13. I'm going to bring everyone up. Give me a second, you guys. I'm going to get you all back here. Okay, here we go. I want everyone to see the snaps and the claps and the waves. I wrote down a few different lines. You know, that build up to the last line was a ride, and poetry does that, right? You guys, like, it takes you for the ride. And I loved the alteration of previous plans, because it doesn't matter what happened to the person, that they were the cause of that. And I don't know, I wrote that one down. Soft heart in a hard place. I think a lot of my poets are that. and an earthquake with self-awareness. I think, it's a little bit of that in me as well. Thank you, 13. That was gorgeous. Anyone else? Anyone else have okay. I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Okay, next up, we have Natalie. And Natalie, we are ready for you.
Thank you, Laura. I am proud to have joined this volume 3 of beautiful poems, and I wrote chapter 3, Our Kaleidoscope Full of Rocks, writing poetry with my dead dad to heal my soul. And as a daughter of a human who took his life by suicide, it's been, as a young person, a part of my journey has been reconciling my relationship with this human that I don't know, but for a short blip of my life. And I came into possession of a book of his poems that he wrote as a young person and finished before I was born, and that he gifted me. I haven't been able to read it full cover to cover, 88 poems, until recently, and decided that it was time we write some poetry together. And so the poem I'd like to share with you is called About Your Suicide. So you don't capitalize I, but you do capitalize man. And the standoff stayed stood up till little you done chased big him away. How tragic your sweet fury, demise delish. Controlled fury, your love was a far cry from lazy. Your absence made family tragically incomplete. I've missed the I, the capital man, the mind you say broke. Mine has too, again, and again just today. You teach me now, though, preach through me now, though. I recognize your eye in my lines and my eyes now, though. Feel the weight of your thumb in mine now. Though I don't recall being in a place of such peace with your passing as now. Your death was your destiny, and my voice is your legacy. I am Natalie. My father was a poet, a preacher, and a charming, sweet man. His steady hands were weathered, and his eyes smiled creases so deep you could swim in them. He danced up a dream and dances in my dreams still. I think I see now how he split into two from one. And this is how we dance today, on full display. Sad? Far from it. Gay, gaiety, it's a thing, a state. Your state when you're cheerful, lighthearted, free. Some call it toxic. I've been called fake, delusional, a joke. We laugh regardless. We need your permission to live as much as I need a dad that shoulda, coulda, woulda stayed. Thank you.
That was powerful, Natalie. Yeah, hang on, you guys. Let's give her some snaps. I gotta, these clicking buttons are gonna be the get the most of me here. Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
You gave me a flash with your line about the creases. And this is the thing. So I lost my dad about 3 years ago, actually this month, 3 years ago. And so that's the thing about poetry, right? So thanks for the gift of just bringing him back in and seeing his face and feeling the love, whether or not the relationship was good or bad. So I don't know. Beautiful. Thank you. Beautiful poets. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do in the world. Thank you for being here to share it with everyone. This is way more than a book. This is a generous community. They're waiting for you to go explore their websites down below. Reach out, ask a question. Maybe you have a question about these beautiful poems that you heard today, right? I love this community so much. It is the fuel of this poetry passion. You guys just fuel me up every single day. We would love it if you would hop over to Amazon and grab your copy of this book. The portion of the royalties for this first quarter launch are coming back to the InkWell, my nonprofit partner, Miss Cayenne Thomas. Thank you for all you do, helping the world heal one journal and pen at a time. And so your book purchases right now, you guys, are having a bigger ripple because she is serving the youth in our DC, Maryland, Virginia area with therapeutic writing programs, journal drives, a lot of really cool stuff. So please support her with a book purchase. And I don't know, maybe you're a poet and you're excited and you're like, maybe I could do that too. You want to ask me about being in the next volume, please come find us at bravehealer.com. And lastly, today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.